Welcome to your weekly airplane news update. This is the week of March 8, 2021. And this week I've got three topics I want to talk about. And the first one is pilot shortage. This is a term that we haven't heard in quite a while, and this is good. This is a good term to hear. I want to talk about airports, 5 airports that were selected by the FAA to test counter-drone technology. So we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about Sun and Fun, which is back this year after being skipped last year. So let's get to it. And the first thing this week is pilot shortage. And pilot shortage is a term that we haven't used in quite a while with this pandemic. And there is a study that showed that we are looming for another pilot shortage. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, it's been going on for a long time now, pretty much actually since I've been in aviation about 20 years ago. I've been hearing about pilot shortage. Now, for a while, it was kind of like crying wolf. A lot of people saying, well, there's going to be a pilot shortage, there's going to be one. And eventually we had one. We did have a shortage of qualified pilots, I'd like to say, a shortage of people willing to fly airplanes. And this is good. This is good for business, for people that want to be pilot because, well, they can get a job very easily. So, obviously, with COVID and all of that happened, we did not have a pilot shortage anymore. But now that things are starting to look a little bit better, people are looking down the road and saying around 2023, 2025, we should see again that pilot shortage renew its little face. And there's really 3 reasons for this. And by the way, I can go on for several hours talking about this topic. So because this is something I've been following as a long time school executive and being in the flight training industry for pretty much my whole life. But some compounding reasons why we have a shortage coming up around the corner. Early retirement is still a big factor. For a long time, the FAA had a 60-year-old mandatory retirement age, and then eventually they realized, well, if everybody retires at 60, then we're going to be in trouble. So they pushed it to 65. It really didn't change anything. Those people that were 60 that were going to retire, it just pushed everything 5 years down the road. And we see more and more people going into either early retirement. The airlines are pushing these pilots that are expensive to them, took them out, and I shouldn't say took them out, that sounds bad. They basically asked them to retire early and making room for the younger pilots that wanted to move up the ladder. So with that being said, that's not going away even with the pandemic, and when we start to go back to normal, then we're still going to have this early retirement issue. The next thing is pilots that went to find another job, and this is something that we see every time there's a downturn in the economy. The aviation industry kind of takes a hit pretty much immediately, like we saw with the pandemic. And at that point, a lot of people decide, hey, you know what, flying, this is just too stressful for me. This is not the career that I want. They go find a job somewhere else, and then they never look back and never come back to be pilots. Well, guess what? When the jobs come back, there's no one there to fill the seats, or a lot fewer people, I should say. So this, again, contributes to the pilot shortage. And the last thing has been going on for a long time now, which is the high cost of training. Rather low pay to get started, even though the pay gets better and better as you start to get more seniority. And then the bumpy path, quite frankly, to become a pilot. And after what happened here, a lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, I don't want to be furloughed in another 2 or 3 years if something like this happened. Opening up a lot of doors for those of you that want to do it. So we've got a shortage. And the shortage in that paper that was written was divided into 2 different things. They're saying that there's going to be about a 50,000 pilot shortage worldwide by 2025, and then just in the United States, 12,000 pilot shortage by 2023. So if you want to be a pilot at the moment, by the time you're done with training, I know this is kind of a hard time, but if you are getting ready to be a pilot right now, don't give up. This is actually a really good time to be in this industry. If you want to make sure that you have a job in a couple of years, then it should be looking pretty good. Obviously, I don't have my magic crystal ball right here, so I'm giving you these predictions based on my years of experience and looking at this industry over time, and hopefully I'm right, because we do need pilots to get back to their jobs, and everybody needs to go back to their normal life. I'm sure we all agree on that. The next topic I want to talk about this week is the FAA is going to test drone defense at select airport. There's 5 of them. The first one is Atlantic City in New Jersey, Syracuse in New York. We have Rickenbacker in Columbus. We have Huntsville, Alabama, and we have Tacoma, Seattle, Tacoma in Washington. And the idea is the FAA wants to test counter UAS unmanned aircraft system intelligence at those airports to make sure that they can catch bad actors that are going to be flying drones close to airports. Now, I do want to mention this because I'm a drone pilot. I've teach drone pilots, for those of you that don't know, that only know my airplane side. And my goal is to make sure that the two communities understand each other and understand what each side of the industry is doing. And obviously flying drones near airports is dangerous. And especially if you don't know where you're flying, if you fly at the wrong altitude, the FAA has put in place a grid system where you can figure out where you can fly safely up to what altitude. As you get closer to the airport, it becomes zero grids, which means you can't fly there as a drone pilot. So what the FAA is really trying to do is in those zero grids, they're trying to catch either the people that are doing this because they have no idea of the rules, or because the people that want to do this for bad reasons. So they're going to test 10 different equipment, counter UAS equipment. And the FAA had a statement in there that said that they and the government are the only ones at the moment that are allowed to do counter UAS in the United States. And the reason is because there are companies out there that are trying to sell products that at the moment cannot be used because only the government can do this. And only certain departments in the government are allowed to do this. So I just thought I would mention this. The FAA came up with new regulation in December for remote ID. Remote ID is going to be the equivalent of ADS-B for airplanes, but for drones, it's going to be a digital license plate where the FAA and law enforcement and all the different federal departments will be able to find where the location of the pilot and the location of the aircraft at all times. So I'm all for it, quite frankly. As much as I love flying my drone, I hate to see that we have drones flying in the wrong airspace. And I think there's a lot of education that can go through. A lot of people that do this just don't do it on purpose. They just do it because they're clueless. And, it is what it is. So our job, obviously, is to help people get educated on this so they're not that guy. That's what I call it in my drone channel. Okay, last thing this week is Sun and Fun is back. And they took a hiatus last year because of the pandemic. And then now they're back. The iconic Florida show. If you've never been to Sun and Fun, ton of fun. I mean, it's got a name, Sun and Fun, for a reason. This year, it's going to be a tiny bit smaller. They said instead of the 500 participants or exhibitors that they usually have, they're going to have about 400. And everything will be outdoors and a few portions indoor where you have to wear masks. But other than that, they said that the attendance should be a little bit less than usual, but they're encouraging people to go to Sun and Fun and go get back into the industry, talking to different businesses that are making the trip to get there to sell their products. So if you live in Florida, if you're close to Florida, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. But if you live in the area, then make sure you go and take a look at Sun and Fun. This is definitely a fun show where I've been several times when I lived in Florida. Okay, this is it. This is all I have this week. Now, you may have noticed I'm maybe speaking a little bit weird. I got my second vaccine shot yesterday, and I'm not feeling really all that great. But I wanted to get this out to you guys so that we can have the news going out, and hopefully I'll be better tomorrow. I'm sure I will be better tomorrow, but this hit me like a ton of bricks. So that's it. That's all I have. I'm going to end it. I will see you guys next week. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and then I'll be here on Friday to reply to your comments. All right, fly safe.